Raj Revere, the CEO of BitCoin.com. But today I want to tell you about my, a couple of things today, but I want to tell you about my own story about being tortured in federal prison in the United States. And I think I've told some people this face to face, but and I've been meaning to write about it and put it down to words, but I've certainly never made a video about it today. And there were a couple of things that came together that made me motivated to do it today. So one of those things is that Ross Ulbricht, the person accused of starting the Silk Road, has now been in federal prison in the United States for about 5 years. That's a long time. Think about how old you are today, and then subtract 5 years from that, and imagine if you had been in prison that entire time, how much of your life would have slipped away because of that. And the thing that's making me motivated to record this video today is there's another person by the name of Gary Davis, who's an Irish person, been living in Ireland his whole life, never ever been to the United States, who's accused of being the moderator on the forum to discuss things about the Silk Road. And the United States government is extraditing him from Ireland. So he's going to go from Ireland to a country that he's never been to in his entire life. And he's looking at life in prison for being the moderator of a forum that allowed people to discuss things on the internet. And as someone who spent some time in federal prison, I understand just how terrifying it must be for Gary, and how terrifying it is for anybody in that sort of situation. And I guess I'm making this video because I want more people around the world to know about the sort of things that go on in federal prisons in the United States. And for those that don't know, I did 10 months in federal prison from 2002 until 2003 for selling firecrackers on eBay, back when eBay had a guns and ammo section and it wasn't a big deal to do that at all. And in fact, the real reason that I actually went to prison is because I was busy saying things like the things that I'm going to say in this video. And politicians don't like it when you speak truth to power, and that's too bad. The truth is more important than what the politicians like, and the truth is more important than being popular with a bunch of politicians or anything like that. So anyhow, this video, I guess, is dedicated to all the people that are held in federal prison or state prison or any prison around the world, for that matter, for victimless crimes. And there's a lot of them. Don't underestimate just how many of them there are at this point. So I have quite a few stories I could tell, but I guess the one that I'll tell is when I first showed up at prison, I was allowed to choose when I would start my prison sentence. So the judge said, you know, how much time do you need to get your affairs in order? And it's been more than a decade now, so I don't remember, maybe it was 30 or 45 days, or some number of days. And so I had to lay off most of my employees at my business and get everything set up so that I could go to prison. And I made the mistake of choosing to start my prison sentence on a Friday. Don't ever start your prison sentence on a Friday, and certainly don't do it on a Friday before a national holiday. And I think it was right before Memorial Day or Labor Day or something like that. And showed up on Friday morning there at Lompoc, near Santa Barbara, California, for those that are familiar with the area. And the way it works is they have to classify your security level at the prison. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm a pretty white-collar kind of guy. But my actual charge was dealing in explosives without a license. And it's worth pointing out that the criminal act isn't the selling of explosives, and these are firecrackers I bought on one website and sold on another. And the crime isn't selling the explosives, it's doing it without the license. So it's simply just not getting a permission slip to sell the firecrackers. And anybody, if you want to, I'll put a link in the description. You can read about the exact product I was selling. They were sold by Cabela Sporting Goods Catalog. It was sold by a bunch of other resellers on eBay. People all over the country were selling it. The manufacturer manufactured over 1 million of the units. I sold a few thousand of them. The manufacturer basically was just told to stop selling them. Nobody had to pay a fine or go to jail, except for me, because I spoke truth to power. Taxation is theft. The draft is the moral equivalent of kidnapping and slavery. And war is mass murder, funded by theft. So that's the truth. If you don't like it, sorry. The truth doesn't bend to whether or not we like it being the truth or not. So anyhow, Showed up at federal prison there, and they were waiting to classify me. So when they haven't classified you yet, they send you to the highest security level that they have within the prison. So it's called the SHU, which SHU, which stands for Special Housing Unit, which is just a euphemism for the jail within jail. So they sent me to the jail within jail there, which was a little tiny room with 3 bunk beds, so 6 people total, and a toilet and a shower with no privacy or door or anything at all around the toilet or the shower. So like absolutely no privacy whatsoever, and so little ventilation that everybody just basically strips down to their underwear and lays in their bunk because it's so hot in there just from everybody's body heat and the lack of ventilation in there. So I was there all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Normally you're allowed out for 1 hour a day, but that's on weekdays, I believe. And then Monday was a national holiday, so I didn't get out on Monday either. So I was in there for 4 or 5 days straight, and my entire world was, felt like it was already felt like it was being turned upside down. But my attorney representing me, the prosecuting U.S. attorney, the judge, everybody assured me that I would be going to what's called a federal prison camp, where there would just be a line on the ground that you're not supposed to go past. And they assured me that it'd be just like going to summer camp, but you'll be there with a bunch of doctors, lawyers, and drug dealers. And as a kid, I loved summer camp. And I didn't really believe them that it would be just like summer camp, but I didn't think I was going to be locked in a little tiny cell 24 hours a day for the first 4 or 5 days straight with 5 other people that I didn't know at all, and absolutely no privacy, even for the restroom at all. So anyhow, I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Tuesday, I got out for an hour to go in the little, maybe, 8 feet by 8 feet or 6 feet by 6 feet, little cyclone fence where you can get a little bit of fresh air and a little bit of sunlight. I was out in that for 1 hour and then went back. And then I think it was on Wednesday they finally got around to classifying where I would go within the prison. And they let me out of the jail within the jail. And they sent me to the prison laundry to get my prison clothes. And the prison clothes are like a khaki shirt and some khaki pants with a belt that's made out of like the life vest clicker, like plastic clips that you would imagine from a life vest on a boat for the belt. And then they gave me some big, giant, clunky work boots that who knows how many people had worn those boots before me. They had definitely seen better days. And then from the prison laundry, after I'd changed into all those clothes, which were different, I should back up a little bit too. So when I was in the jail, within the jail, they just slide your food in on a tray through a slot in the door 3 times a day. And then when you're done eating it, you slide it back out. And anytime anybody's going to come or go out of the room there, you have to put your hands behind your back and slide them through the slot in the door, and they handcuff every single person in the room before they even open or close the door to let anybody in or out of that room, which was really crazy and I guess degrading. But lots of people that have never been to prison, they think, oh, well, that's the whole point, treat people badly in prison. But the real punishment about going to prison is being separated from every single person you know in life, being completely separated from all of your family, all of your friends, from everybody you know, and being thrust into a place where you don't know anybody, and you're completely cut off from every single person you've ever known in your life. That's the real punishment from going to prison. But anyhow, so they give me the shirt and the pants and the boots, and then they tell me to go and see the prison counselor. And it's not a counselor, it's just another guard. And the prison counselor's job is to give you your bunk assignments. So they tell me to go from the prison laundry to the prison counselor, which is, 50 yards away or something, not very far at all. So I walk from the laundry to see the counselor, and I go in the room. They specifically told me to go into the room. And, it had taken quite a while for me to, come to terms that I was going to do 10 months in federal prison, and that seemed like absolute eternity. But it was certainly better than the 7 or 8 years that they had threatened me with if I didn't sign the plea agreement. So when you're looking at 7 or 8 years versus 10 months, of course, 10 months is better than 7 or 8 years. And felt like an absolute eternity. I was 22 years old. 10 months feels like forever. And it was definitely the longest 10 months of my life, even looking back on it more than 15 years later. But I walk into the counselor's office that they told me to walk into. And as soon as I walk in, the one guard that's in there, he jumps up and starts shouting at me, whoa, 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 you can't come just walking in here like this. We have to search you first. Put your hands on the wall. Put your hands on the wall. We need to search you first. And the other guard is just watching him. And even the other guard looks surprised by this guy's reaction when I came into the room. But like, there's two guards, right? One guard says, put your hands on the wall. We have to search you. The other guard's kind of looking at him. And the one guard, I turn around and put my hands on the wall, and he starts patting me down. And as he's patting me down, I'm pretty sure that I can see something in his hand, but I'm not sure what it is. And I'm not in a position to make demands of anybody at that point. I'm a prisoner in a federal prison, but I can see there's something in his hand as he's patting me down. I'm pretty sure. And then when he gets down to these boots that I've only had on for like 2 minutes and walked maybe 50 yards in, the big, giant, clunky work boots, he pulls out this, big shank, a sharpened screwdriver. And he starts screaming at me about how, you're coming in here with a shank. Are you trying to shank somebody? You're going to do more time for this. And I'm telling him, it's not mine. It's not mine. I don't know where it came from. And he's screaming and yelling at me about how I have this shank and he starts telling me that I'm going to do an additional